Dat, everybody? Welcome back to the Who Dat Confessional podcast. Look, you might be 0-4, but we're going to tell you, look, there's some good stuff in there. I know you want to win games. We want to win games. Who doesn't want to win games? But I think they're finding it. And we're going to talk about some of the good things that we found watching the tape, running it back, and also some good news for you that we'll talk about towards the end of the show. Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau both getting that checkbox so they can get back into practice, which Juwan Johnson, you and I actually talked about this when we had our little group chat with Blair and everything. We were talking numbers and film after the game. Yeah, the target share for Juwan Johnson is huge. And while he hasn't necessarily lived up to it, it does show that position is definitely a position they want to target. So getting both of these guys back, especially Hill, really excites me. So, yeah, we can hit on that after. Let's start with everybody's favorite topic. I'm going to tell you why 0-10 doesn't matter, because wins and losses aren't a QB stat. There's some real good stuff from Rattler. Some stuff that I think Moore can help him with. And I got to throw a shot at Sig. I'm throwing a shot, Sig. I love you. But Sig, in your article you wrote, Rattler had a better run average than pass average. And I know I've been talking a lot about YPA, but bro, what do those two have anything to do with each other, my friend? Like anything. What do those have to do with each other at all? If there's one thing I really do acknowledge that Rattler has improved on, pocket presence, and now that feels like he was allowed to move through that pocket and run if he needed to, did a great job of it. Probably had one of the best ankle breaks we've seen in the entire NFL this season. Agree or disagree?
I think Sig is a racist.
Oh my gosh.
I think Sig is incredibly racist. I think that he wants Rattler to play like a Caucasian quarterback.
Oh my Lanta.
And read the field. And Rattler uses his legs well as a playmaker. Obviously, he's not seeing the field. And yet, Rev over there, well, it's been 2 years and he's not reading the coverages right, and he should be knowing that all the time. And I think, listen, it takes time for some players. Some players figure it out faster. Some players figure it out a little slower. I think it's more important to maximize what Rattler does well. And I think allowing him to run seemed to be something that he was given the green light on. Mm-hmm. Whereas the first few weeks, it appeared that Moore wanted him to be more of a pocket passer / point guard. And I think Rattler has a little bit more hero ball in his game than that. I think he's done a good job from college, especially when he got to South Carolina. He was asked to cut down on his turnovers, which he did. And I think he's done a good job of tempering that. But I think at his core, he's a guy that likes to go out there and ball and make plays. The phone booth quickness is very sneaky. He definitely is breaking some ankles. But I think you got to lean into those things. And it was good to see Moore do that. But as far as asking him to be what is known as, what is it in Madden, the field general quarterback, that's not him. Rattler is the improviser archetype.
Yeah.
From Madden. He's going to move around. He's going to make some plays with his feet. He's going to open some things up on the back end. And you got to lean into that. And that goes with supporting him with a heavy dose of the run game. And then using play action and rolling him out and changing his platform on top of it. And then calling deep shots that are specifically built for the deep shot. And if he doesn't find it on the first read, if he doesn't find a deep shot on the first read, look for the medium shot on the second read. And if he doesn't find it on the second read, take off running. He'll get you 10, 12 yards on the play or first down, which keeps your defense rested. Complementary football. And I think they're learning that. And you saw more of it in week 4.
That's one of the, I really enjoyed having Kendre Miller. He had a great post-game interview talking about them switching back to running primary zone. And I get it. Moore is experimenting. He's wanting to see how quickly can they adapt to his system. But at the same time, this system was built around a zone run West Coast system. And Moore is very much West Coast, but you can run that. And in this case, literally run that in multiple ways. He wants to run a lot of power stuff, which is fine. But you saw that switch, and I think it really benefits Rattler because, as you pointed out, he does not pre-snap to post-snap read very well. Didn't do it very well in college. I would like to have seen that progress a lot further than it has. At the same time, if that's not working right now, don't worry about that as much. Scale it back. Focus on what he does do well. I do like that the training wheels were off and he felt like he had the green light to move if he needed to. If anything, the best thing that he's had coming out of college, like his number one thing was, what is Rattler good at? Scramble drill, improvisation. That is the number one thing that he had on his scouting report as, is he NFL ready at anything? Scramble drill. And We saw that against Buffalo. I mean, there's definitely issues that you want to see clean up. I mean, because yeah, I get it. He's not a field general. Still need to see him connect on that. For example, clean pocket pass to Cooks. But on the flip side, you saw really great plays. Like you do throw in a 3-route concept. It's completely closed. Yet he makes a 12-yard run for a first down that wasn't there and that nobody else is making on the roster. You know, Shuck is athletic. I don't think he has the same level of phone booth quickness. He's more of a big guy athletic than he is a small guy athletic. You know, so play to that advantage. It's why I really also enjoyed more utilizing a lot of design runs that were specifically for Rattler. You know, you had some pulling guard stuff. You had Kendre Miller leading blocking for him with some delays. Those were good plays. You know, and Nick Underhill tweeted out that Moore was cooking that game, and I'm not fully on board with him.
I don't want to hear about Underhill.
Yeah,
how about this? How about I
What?
tweeted out? How about I posted before the game? I said deploy zone read and use Rattler as a running more. It's an easy way to add more runs to the game plan,
by the way.
but still giving the quarterback ability to pull it and throw it if something opens up. I then said more outside zone runs. With the exception of Kelvin Banks, every offensive lineman on this team was drafted to fit a zone run scheme. There's no reason you should be running 50-50 zone versus man. Lean more into outside zone, 70-30, until you get better guard play. I understand Moore enjoys his dual block philosophy, but if the offensive line isn't designed for that, don't force it. Listen, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. So I don't want to talk about Underhill. He all right. Holla. Switch it back. Continue.
Anyway, he was cooking. I'm not fully on board with him being a Michelin star chef, but we are seeing good adjustments here. And I think you've seen how he's playing with Rattler's good adjustment. I would still like to see other players get more of a focus. For example, I'm still not getting my option routes to AK, not getting AK in the slot, not getting my Texas concept.
Would like to see that. Like to see that.
I've got Chris Olave averaging 7 yards of reception right now. And look, we can say what we will about Olave being or not being a number one receiver, but regardless of that, he is still much more than a 7-yard reception type of a guy. He should be much closer to that 12 to 14 mark, right? So there's definitely some key areas that have got to continually move, but if nothing else, you saw the offense move in a positive direction. There's a lot of good to take from that, going against what is going to be a Super Bowl, is already a Super Bowl contender with the AFC East leading Bills. I really liked a lot of that. And then we got to see some of the young guys like Simpkins get some snaps, which, again, I'm not going to root for anybody to get injured. Ruiz ended up getting rolled up on one of those plays I talked about being a design run for Rattler, but a lot of good plays that you get to get some good tape on.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Kendre, and I love, and we pointed it out, Kendre said that, Kamara voiced his opinion that he really doesn't want to take 15, 20, 25 snaps a game. He would have loved to have Kendre be more part of the game plan.
Yeah.
And in those first 3 weeks, I don't know. Here's another thing I tweeted out. First week, it came out that Kamara was going to take 70, 75% of the snaps. And I said, God, please no. Please don't do that. Because he's not at that point in his career where you want him doing that. Please have him in more of a tandem back situation with Kendre. And we didn't do that at first. So you saw Kendre's snap count slowly ramp up, but you saw that running game be at its best with Kendre and Kamara sharing the load, and then there being more zone within that. Again, I do agree. I don't think that we're using Kamara the best way we can in the passing game. I think those flare out routes or those swing routes just set him up for big hits. I would like to see more Texas route concepts like you. I would like to see more of him in the slot and getting some option routes. I don't like him as a swing pass back. I think it's a poor use of his skill set. If you're going to pass the ball to him 6 yards away, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, just hand the ball off to him and let him run the ball. Other than that, the only other key area I would like to see, and it's because Moore said it in his press conference, he talked about using the entire roster. There are other players on this team that I have not seen take a single snap. I have seen us be starter dependent, and I would like to see Moore dig into his bag and start to draw up some plays for some of the other guys on the roster, specifically some of the other receivers, just to get them some plays. That was something that Sean Payton was masterful of. He would turn somebody like Tommy Lee Lewis into a weapon on offense. I think there are some guys on there that can do that, and I think you need to just keep players involved in the game, knowing that, hey, I might get an opportunity here. I might only play 5 plays, but one of these plays may be drawn up for me to make a play and show more. So I would like to see him actually do what he said he would do, which was use the entire roster. Haven't seen Velus Jones at all, right? And Velus Jones is one of the only speed options, and so you would think you would maybe see him draw up 1 or 2 plays a game just to get Velus Jones some snaps. I also loved seeing the ghost motion with Shaheed. I think that opened up some things in the run a lot, and I think that's something that they should deploy more of. It should be something that's a part of that identity that Moore talked about, and so I enjoyed that as well.
We started to get some of that we had some split back reps, which I really liked, having both AK and Miller on the floor at the same time. One thing that I really would like to see more of, we talk about using AK in swing passes, and I agree, but I want to see Miller used more in the passing game. He's only got 3 receptions all year long, not getting used that very much. And again, it's just providing that parity where Miller comes in, we don't know, stack the box, right? Or if they're both on the field, well, shade to AK, don't worry about Miller. You got to have that balance to do both. And I think you're getting there, but also to your receiver point, Vele and Tipton combined for 5 snaps this game. That's it. Vele, the only guy above, 6'2". Tipton, one of your speed guys. It's just more providing an opportunity and providing a change of pace. And I get you want to have rapport because that only comes with reps, especially game reps. And all that's important. But at the same time, kind of like you saying, he's doing what he said. I mean, you went and traded for a guy to give yourself a little bit of size in the wide receiver room. Use him. I agree with Coach Blair. He runs a little bit sloppy routes sometimes, things like that. How's that going to be better? Well, you're 0-4. Put the guys out there, let them learn on the field. I mean, it's not like we're 4-0 when we're risking losing games and costing the division. You're 0-4. You're fighting for life. You need to find what's working, and that comes with experimentation. So I would really like to see stuff like that. You're kind of seeing it slowly happen, and maybe that's just Moore's process. He's going to slowly adapt it game by game. He's not going to make big chunks. So hopefully we continue to see that going into next week. But wide receiver room would be my next one right now that we've swapped the blocking scheme back. Wide receiver room needs eyeballs on it.
6-man boxes. I would also like to see us attack those. We are leading, I think, the NFL in facing 6-man or light man boxes.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple of plays out there where it's obvious it's a light box and we still went with the pass. You got to punish them. You got to run the ball there. If teams are gonna, it's like, okay, cool. If you're gonna play cover 2 against me and give me a light box because you're trying to protect over the top, well, sure, I can short game you to death with Rattler and have him throw all of these short passes, right? I can do that all game, and some throws Rattler's going to make, some throws are not going to be on time. Sometimes Juwan is going to make the catch. Sometimes Olave is not going to make the catch. But if there's one thing for certain, both Kendre and Alvin have a very low fumble rate throughout their careers. So in those situations, just get out of the play, turn around and hand the ball off until somebody stops you. And I would like to see Moore continue to be more run balanced in those situations and stop trying to force the pass. And just continue to make the run game the primary portion of the identity, including allowing Rattler to run the ball and design plays more, and then just let the passing game be complementary.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think there's opportunity for this to happen 2 weeks from now. So this week, my focus is going to be wide receiver. For 2 weeks, because we have Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau coming back from PUP, practicing. I would expect that to pop up 2 weeks from now as a potential, inserting them in, getting some good reps. But you and I both agree that if Rattler was going to get a receiver that helps him out, he needs size, right? And I get that neither of these guys are young, but both are still in good condition. I think Hill still can provide, even at his age. And they're both larger targets. They're not smaller Rashid Shaheeds. They're not Chris Olaves. They're not guys who are, 5'11", saying they're 6'0", who are 190, who actually weigh 185, right? Big targets that give Rattler options. Yeah, that's going to be key.
and more run after catch ability.
Yeah.
It's obvious that we want to run these screenplays, and I get part of the reason why Olave's rate is so low is that, he was drafted to be a Z in Sean Payton's offense. But they moved him from Z mostly because his downfield catch rate wasn't super high his rookie year. But B, Shaheed actually ended up outperforming him there. So since last year, we've been asking Olave to play more X, which requires him to be able to get off the line of scrimmage, have strong hands, win on slants, but he doesn't have the body type to run after the catch. So you're running all of these screenplays to these wide receivers. They're in tight alleys. They're not getting very many yards after the catch. But if you suddenly have these bigger options, you've seen it a little bit more with Juwan Johnson, but now you're getting Taysom back. These guys have bigger body types that you can play pitch and catch, and then they can get you extra 6-7 yards after the catch.
Yeah.
Those are your run after catch options that should also help the offense extend itself a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. And again, you want to build this into an offense that is complementary. And even though you're typically going to have this happen naturally when you're winning games, Sean Payton's best years is when he was averaging 55% run, 45% pass. And again, fourth quarter when you're winning is going to really inflate your running numbers. But it also shows that there's an establishment of this is our identity. We're going to run it hard. Then we're going to beat you over the top after you've had to deal with the fact that we are running all over you. And it speaks to what you said, because teams do not fear New Orleans offense right now, which is fair. I'm not saying they should. You got to prove it, right? Teams shouldn't just come out and respect you for the sake of it. But Alvin Kamara, I'll have to double check this, and maybe we can follow up on this on Thursday. I'm pretty sure this is the lowest 8-man box set he's seen since his rookie year. His rookie year, he was seeing about 13% because Mark Ingram was taking all the 8-man boxes. AK, his rookie year, was seeing about 13%. And that's where they're at right now, and AK is the primary guy, right? So that just shows there's a lack of respect and response. That isn't even saying that people don't believe AK is still talented, because if you listen to any of the post and pregame interviews from these other coaches, one of the first names they shout out is AK being this huge threat. It's the offense as a whole doesn't have an identity that is threatening. So basically defenses just play it safe. Says, hey, we trust that our defensive lines are going to pressure you without getting help. We trust that our linebackers are going to stop the run without getting help. And you've got to make that happen. And again, that's why I like the outside zone switch. You see it, but it's a process. What you got?
Or it's the reverse. Teams they respect the offense. That's why they're playing more shell coverage and playing more cover 2, because they respect.
I think they respect what the threat can be, but
yeah, they respect the threat of the deep ball. I think the issue is that they've been basically daring Moore to run it, and he hasn't run the ball consistently. Because if you run the ball well, teams will start to creep up. But if we see that we put 6 men in the box, and you're still going to throw the pass, well, then we're probably going to bet that we'll keep 6 men in the box. And if you have 3 plays, you're probably going to pass it 2 out of those 3 plays. That's what you've presented to us. So to us, it's safe to continue to drop everybody in coverage or play too high safeties while we expect you not to run the ball. So until Moore starts running the ball, he's going to get teams protecting against the deep ball. So he's legitimately, they respect it. They just respect only one portion of the offense right now. Once he gets them to respect the run game, then they'll creep up. Then you could just start getting some shots over the top, maybe Rattler.
Yeah, we can argue they respect that the speed is there to kill them, but they've got it locked down, so it's not a problem. But you were also, and I say you generally speaking, they were averaging about 3 yards a carry for the first couple of weeks. So there was no reason to change it either. This Buffalo Bills game is the first game where you really need to look at the run and go, okay, maybe we can't just sit there with a 6-man box every down and roll with it. So we'll see what this upcoming week provides. If we see defenses treat them a little bit differently, if we see a little bit more of that stack, between actually the next 2 games, we look at the Giants and the Patriots, with Giants coming off a surprising win. Will they show that respect towards the run game, which hopefully would open up? Because again, there's no reason Olave is at 7.1 yards per reception right now. The highest yards per reception is Shaheed at 9.7. I mean, that's, again, Rashid Shaheed,
that's pretty low.
Deep bomb Rashid Shaheed, who had multiple 40-yard TDs in his career just the past 2 years. By the way, last year he averaged 17.5. He was only there for 6 games. A year before that, 15.6. Year before that, 17.4. So literally cut in half this year. You got to find a way to get that back. We talk about using your playmakers, and I hope that Taysom Hill can help with that, but you're not getting a home run ball unless you're swinging the bat. And right now, they're not even swinging the bat.
This is accurate and very unfortunate. Speaking of, making adjustments, we did see the defense play a little bit more man coverage. I don't know how much percentage-wise. I know that Ross ended up doing a report where I think they were at 60% week 1.
Mhm.
It moved up to 80% zone coverage week 2, and then finally toppled at 90% week 3. And week 3 just happened to be the worst defensive performance. Now, just like we suggested that Moore wants to do a man blocking scheme, but for the last 5 years, this team has been drafting players, offensive linemen, receivers, guys that fit a zone running scheme. And so you can't come in and say, hey, I'm going to just go 50% man blocking and take out the zone team, the zone running, when that's not what they do well. Well, it's the flip side on the defense. This defense was a man heavy team, and mostly because we didn't have a great pass rush. And so when you don't have a great pass rush, you play a little bit more man coverage to give the pass rush a little bit more time to get there, right? So you come in your third game, you go 90% zone, but you still don't have a pass rush. You don't have a Chase Young. You're dropping Carl Granderson 20% of the time. Cam Jordan is not fully Cam Jordan. So it's like, why are you doing that? This game, you saw a lot more single high coverage, single high man under, and he let them boys go to work. And the defense looked a heck of a lot better against a better quality quarterback.
That's true.
Versus what they saw last week in Mac Jones.
Yeah, we also still, and I think it's worth highlighting because we did not see them suddenly be better in pass rush either. New Orleans coming into this week now, they still 4 games are the worst quarterback pressure team in the NFL based on both SIS and NFL Next Gen. I didn't check PFF, but on those 2 sites, you have it. I'm just going to assume the third would agree. Now, they still get sacks. Like, they got 3, which is the first time Allen had been sacked 3 games in almost a full season, but you're not getting consistent pressure. Yet, I think everybody can agree the defense looked better against a higher caliber team having more of that system. And it definitely benefits a young guy who I think got handed the reins before he was ready in Kool-Aid McKinstry, comparing to where Lattimore had it. I'm not saying I don't like Kool-Aid. I actually think that he can be a really good player, but he wasn't fully done with all of his development. And they just said, hey, you're the number 1 now. And he's a more natural man coverage guy. So I think that really benefits, like you said, the roster that you have, which does mean it's an adjustment by the defense that Staley has to do. And thankfully, you're seeing some of those. I'm also really hopeful that we continue to see, for those who are interested in snap counts, we did see Riley get more snaps. We also saw, obviously, Sanker come in, have some fantastic plays. But for those who are curious, on the snap side of things, Yiadom was down to 12 snaps this run, where Riley had 41% of the total snaps at his side of corner, which is a pretty big shift from what you saw in the first 3 weeks. Obviously, Sanker had basically every snap on defense. Alontae Taylor, the only corner to play every snap, but just getting Riley in there in that rotation more, I think, was a move in the right direction.
I was proud of Taylor for not having any missed tackles this game, especially after I called him out in
being on pace to go to about 30 is what you called him out for.
Yeah, he's on pace, and he had 0. I'm gonna tell you why the Saints pass rush isn't as good as it could be.
Besides,
Devon Gottschall watch this. Devon Gottschall has 61 pass rush snaps. That ain't what Devon Gottschall does. On the flip side, Chris Rumph only has 28. Chris Rumph is one of your better pass rushers on the team. There is no excuse that you should be using your nose tackle as a pass rushing option while one of your best pass rushers sits on the sideline. Meanwhile, your other top pass rusher, you're noting that you're dropping him 20% of the time. They need to sub out Devon Gottschall. So there was an alignment that we ran.
Okay.
Versus the Bills, where you had Carl on the field, you had Brian on the field, you had Cam on the field, and you had Chris Rumph. You had Chris Rumph rushing off of the right side as your primary outside linebacker. You had Cam Jordan, I think, rushing with his hand down as your primary defensive end on the opposite side. You had Granderson lined up as one of the tackles, or at least in the four eyes somewhere in that position, and you ran a stunt with them. Instant pressure off of that. What you didn't have on the field was Devon Godshaw. He doesn't need to be in pass rush snaps that often. If you can get your three best pass rushers on the field often enough, they will create more pressure. They need to stop rushing Jonathan Bullard, Devon Godshaw, and half of these guys that don't have an ability to do more than a bull rush, but still only get single blocked.
I will just to add in one name I'm surprised about is Nate Shepard. Nate Shepard's had 79 pass rush snaps, has not registered a single pressure so far. That one kind of surprised me because I thought that he would be more of a presence there. Last year, I thought that he was more of a consistent pressure presence than Bryan Bresee was from that inside position. So there's definitely some figuring it out. But to your point, Davin's got a 3.6% pressure rate, which is incredibly low. Chris Rumph has got a 10% pressure rate, but like you said, only has 29 pass rush snaps. And again, hopefully we see them continue with these alterations and changes like they had in the running game. But a lot of their decision-making is a little bit odd because, again, Chris Rumph, and then you've got Carl Granderson, who did seem to have a little bit more of a consistent not getting thrown into the coverage, rushing the passer, but he's still not even at 75 yet. You got Bryan Bresee's right at 100. Cameron Jordan's right at 100. Want to see those numbers up. Some of the guys they have as these what feels like full-time pass rushers are just not getting any success, while other guys who are flashing are then not getting opportunities. Like you said, Chris Rumph, who has got only one of three players who've got a 10% pressure rate, and yet he's only got 29 pass rush snaps.
They need more juice off the ball, and they're not getting it rushing primarily defensive tackles. But again, like I said, look, I be seeing y'all comments, and I be seeing the stuff that y'all be saying about how the show is much better without me. I'm gonna tell you again, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. If you don't like the show, go somewhere else.
Yeah, we too old to really care
Smut?
anymore. I don't know about smut.
Huh?
Look, what your ladies be reading ain't none of our business.
I just like to let them know, like, I'm not the person to play with. You can talk all that behind a computer. I will invite you to a game, free tickets. Come say all that stuff to my face. Be with that. Like, I'm really about that action. And I know people like to talk. And a lot of times I kind of just let stuff slide. But trust me, I'm not the person to play with. I will hurt your feelings in more ways than one. And still leave you sitting there while you like, well, he on the show and I'm not. Exactly. My point.
Y'all be careful. Y'all gonna make Saints Kevin Hart over here mad. Don't let Elias fool you. He 5'9". So I'm not saying he can't tear your ass up, but he's 5'9".
Yeah, listen. How big is a honey badger?
8.
How many animals with a honey badger? How many animals respect the honey badger?
All of them.
Exactly my point. Height ain't nothing.
Which, by the way, if y'all aren't already going to Saints football talk, you should, because this man literally giving away game tickets. I mean, get your tickets.
Because I'm in a position to do that. While you hating in the comment section. Yeah, like that. I don't stunt too often. I don't talk. I don't talk my talk too often.
I don't mind.
But yeah, I'm that dude for real.
Ain't like I don't.
I'm that dude.
It's my show too. How many times have I dropped all my names that I talked to and all the scouting shit I done? I'm gonna talk it. You talk it too. Have at it. Enjoy it.
But yeah, man.
And y'all check out SaintsFootballTalk.com.
SaintsFootballTalk.com. I dropped the Monday Evening Quarterback where I looked at some plays, did some critiquing, but I also have a Sanker article that I dropped today that I took a look at two of the big plays he made. Again, shout out to Sanker. The way that he's flashing from the safety position as a rookie, he's flashed more than your high free agent signing. He's flashed more than Jordan Howden did in 3 years. He's arguably flashed more, especially in the run game, than you've seen from Honey Badger in the last couple of years. In order to play cover 4 defense, you got to have big time safety play. They've got one portion of it with Sanker. He's only going to get better as he improves and gets more coaching and as he sees more game time and more film.
I'm with you.
Mickey Loomis.
I'm not.
Mickey Loomis traded Lattimore. I'm saying Mickey Loomis traded Lattimore, and with that pick, with that 4th round pick, or with that 3rd round pick that they got for Lattimore, that turned into Sanker. I'm just saying. And Danny Stutzman, who I'm excited to see at some point.
Yeah.
Don't know when, but I am excited to see Danny Stutzman at some point.
Loomis deserves a lot of grief, but it's especially now because we got hindsight. But man, we really won that Lattimore trade.
It was the right time.
Yeah,
it was the right time. So, friendly wager: who's the next to get traded?
Who's the next to get traded?
Yeah, who's the next to get traded? Loomis has already said that.
Yeah, if I had to pull a name, it'd be Olave.
You're thinking Olave?
Yeah. He's young.
What about Pete Werner?
Still has high collateral. I just don't think you can get as much for Pete. But I would have Pete on my list. Like if you told me to name your top 5, I'd have him on the list. But Olave would be at the top of the list.
Who'd be your top 5? Olave, Werner.
Yeah, Olave.
I wouldn't trade DeMario. I definitely wouldn't trade. I saw Sig did an article where he had Granderson on there. I probably wouldn't trade Granderson either.
I mean, I guess the to piggyback is the purpose of the question because we know this season is kind of kaput and we're just building for next. Is that like the premise of what we're coming from? Like we're trying to do like we do with Lattimore. We're getting future collateral for something that we're not going to keep long term.
Well, it essentially when Loomis traded Lattimore before he spoke about, he said he's not in the market for trading guys that can still help the team win. So in other words, he saw Lattimore as somebody who would no longer be capable of helping the team win, and so he saw an ability to get some assets for him. So who's a guy that stands out as somebody who is probably not doing enough to help the team win at this point?
All right. Chris Olave, Pete Werner, Juwan Johnson. He might be tough because of his contract, but I still think people are going to see that big body, that converter wide receiver, and they're going to want it. Carl Granderson and Nate Shepard. Granderson's the one I don't want to, but if we're talking about people who can get you some good return, people are enamored with sack numbers, and he's got them. So you can get a good return for it. We don't. But here's the thing. The pass rush is so bad, if you lost Granderson, you can't get worse than worst. So
yeah, you can. Have you seen Fadil Diggs as one of the primary rushers? It's not good.
I'm just giving you 5.
It's not good at all.
I'm giving you 5 that would have value.
Get worse.
I'm just saying.
Granderson.
I'm giving you 5 that would have value. Granderson will be 30 next season. I'm giving you 5
He
names.
is 30 next season.
I'm not saying I want to get rid of him because I really believe he will get double-digit sacks this year, but that's also the reason why you could probably turn him into a big pick or a good package.
I would go with Olave simply because
he's my number 1.
He's got the 5th year left on the contract.
He's a 1,000-yard receiver.
To pay. Huh?
He's a 1,000-yard receiver multiple times. He's
1,000-yard receiver. Teams pay for contracts. Like the contract has a lot of value, especially if it's still on the rookie deal.
And that's part of Granderson's thing too, because if he becomes a 10-sack guy and that contract is not, top 5 pass rusher,
that is a pretty good contract, which is why it makes sense to keep him.
It does. You told me
the rate that you have,
like it would have been disingenuous for me to just like throw out, Alontae Taylor because I don't really feel like people are going to come calling for Alontae Taylor.
I would trade Alontae. I would actually trade Alontae is a name that I would trade.
I don't know who's calling for him. I would trade Alontae. I would, but I don't know who's calling for him. If somebody calls for Alontae, I'll field the call. I'm just giving you my top 5 that I think have value that could move. And it was tough to not put Kendre Miller in there, but Kendre is still young, and if he can be healthy, man, I want to keep him. Again, we're talking about guys who are valuable, who you could get good collateral for.
So. I was thinking within like logic, and Kendre Miller would not be on my list at all. Would not even. You can call by Kendre and I hang up the phone.
Fair enough, but that's my 5. So, hey, you made me pull out 5 on the spot. So that's my 5.
That's what's up. I get it. My bad. I was a little too hard on you. My bad, big dog. My bad, big dog. But I still wouldn't trade Kendre.
No, it's fine. Look, now that he's healthy and balling out, I mean, the dude's averaging 6 yards a carry. Why would you trade that? And he's, 24? I mean,
Yeah.
That hopefully is the future at running back.
And he's born on the 11th.
I love it. Anyway,
Those are random insights that nobody actually knows what I'm talking about. So it's Sanker though. Those 11s are very good. Every was the 11. Ray Lewis was the 11. Sanker is 11. Kendra is an 11. Christian Rumpf is the 11. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you don't.
I'm sure somebody out there knows.
Somebody probably knows.
Yeah,
if you know what I'm talking about, just drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
SaintsFootballTalk.com. Check out the articles. I'm actually doing a lot.
Yeah,
There was some statistics that popped up and said that most people that start a website like yours by this time only have like 2 or 3 posts, and you've got 33. So listen, I'm out here putting the effort in.
Let's go.
I'm putting hella effort in. And so yeah, y'all check me out, SaintsFootballTalk.com. Videos, articles, just
podcast is on there. It's all.
You also see the podcast on there. Yeah. It gets playing as soon as you pull it up. SaintsFootballTalk.com. Check it out. But yeah, I'm about to
get to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who dat? God bless. We love you. We'll see y'all the next one. Deuces.